Hi guys, my name is Naeem. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Panasonic S5 and whether you can use this camera in 2026. I bought my S5 in 2023. I used it for 3 years. I took it around the whole world with me. I took it to Japan, America, the Middle East, Europe. It was my A camera. I also used it in production. When I was in LA in Hollywood, I was basically acting as a volunteer photographer. I later sold it last year and I upgraded to an S9 and I got an S1 as well. So I'm going to talk about whether you should buy this camera or not, and I'll try to keep it brief. Firstly, for the price, you can get these cameras used around for £500 and £600. Facebook Marketplace, eBay, decent condition, you can buy them used around that price. And for that price point, they're really good. In terms of the image quality that you're going to get. The camera's got a 24.2 megapixel sensor that's full frame, which is really important because when you look at cameras that are £500-600 at this price point, they're all APS-C. So in my case, I had to sell my S5 because of stabilization issues. The stabilization kind of basically stopped working, and the result was that it was almost unusable when it came to video. When the in-body stabilization does work, it's really good. Some people argue the stabilization is actually better than a lot of modern cameras. That makes Panasonic cameras really special, especially when you compare them to like Sony FX3s. The biggest issue with the S5 is the poor autofocus. It used DFD, contrast-based autofocus, which is unreliable compared to newer cameras. However, in the 3 years that I used the S5, honestly, it was just about good enough for me. I really didn't have many big autofocus issues. I often filmed videos like this of me talking in front of the camera, and I did notice pulsing later in post, but it did the job just fine. You're really going to notice it if you heavily do like vlogging, or if you are doing run and gun shooting. In that case, it's not really a suitable camera if you want the most reliable autofocus. Secondly, there's no 6K video mode. There's this quirky thing where you can adjust the shutter speed and get 6K video, but it's not an official 6K video mode. If you want beautiful, crisp, open gate 6K video, you really do have to upgrade to newer cameras. Once you unlock 6K, it's like you don't want to go back. It's a feature that's not even in the FX6 or the FX3. The only downside if you are using other lenses from other manufacturers. For example, I'm currently filming with a Canon EF 16-35 lens with a Sigma MC21 EF to L mount adapter. Like lenses from other manufacturers like Canon are still really good. They're still really sharp. And if you want to use autofocus with those lenses, you just need a new Panasonic camera. You can't use these older lenses with like an S5 or an older Panasonic contrast-based camera. For the price, I don't think that the Panasonic S5 is actually the best bang for buck because of that autofocus issue. I think you're actually much better off buying a Panasonic S9 because of the autofocus, stabilization, the fact that it's basically like £1,200 S5 II in a smaller body, and you can get them used for around £600 or £700. However, if £500 is your budget for an S5, it still will do the job. Just know autofocus isn't very good. There are some other things that I still really like about the S5. One example would be the body. The feel of the camera is still really nice. And I think that the camera feels nicer to hold, much nicer to hold than the S9, which is like you can't even hold it even with a hand grip. It's not quite the same. With that mechanical shutter, taking photos with the S5 is amazing. In LA and San Francisco, I was basically using this as my photography camera, and the whole time I was basically taking photos with the 50mm f1.8. I wouldn't say this is the best low light camera, but it does the job, and I've taken plenty of footage, videos and photos at nighttime. And again, one of the big highlights of this camera, which distinguishes it to other cameras in the £500-600 region, is the fact that it is a full frame sensor. You're getting the most bokeh behind me. You're getting the most depth of field. Just a really nice image with whatever lens you use. The S5 still does 4K 60, which is still really useful when you need to get those like slow motion B-roll. Overall, as I mentioned, when it comes to the best price to performance camera for between £500 and £600, I would actually recommend choosing a Panasonic S1 over this. I somehow managed to buy a Panasonic S1 for £500 on eBay, and it's in pretty decent condition. And immediately, like, it was so much better. Stabilization was better. It's nice to hold. It's a tiny bit heavier, but not that much. And there's no flip out screen, so for vlogging, it's not going to work. But it still is just a nicer camera to hold for photography and video. What I would say is the Panasonic S5 is basically like a good camera if you want like a really good budget vlogging camera that's full frame. But even then, If you can stretch your budget for £600-700, I would really recommend that, because it is a world of a difference with that face detect autofocus in the newer cameras. And again, Panasonic still has really good features like really good stabilization, 4K 60, 10-bit video. And if you do find one for a really good price, I think you might even be able to snag one for less than £500. Just do it then in that case. You'll still enjoy it, it's still a good camera, but you just have to remember the autofocus caveats.